Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome back to another video. This week, I want to talk about something that many of us may be living with that we may think is good, but is actually destroying our dreams and our potential. Today, I want to talk about living in fear. A lot of us have fears. There are things that we're afraid of. I'm afraid of public speaking. I'm afraid of going up to that girl or going up to that guy. I'm afraid of this and I'm afraid of that. There are many motivational speakers, self-help gurus that will tell you that fear is a good thing, that you can use it and manipulate it to motivate you and to launch you into your success. I don't necessarily agree with that. Because if we look at what fear really is, what fear was actually made to be, fear protects you. Fear protects your livelihood. Our ancestors experienced fear every time they stepped outside and were afraid of an animal potentially eating them. Today, we don't experience that same kind of fear. I can guarantee that when you step outside of your house, you're not afraid of a bear coming at you and eating you. But fear is actually meant to protect you, not to debilitate you. But today, many people live in fear, but it's not actual real fear. The fear that we live in today is not centered on protecting you. It's not centered on making sure you stay alive. The fear today is not protecting our livelihood, but it's actually shielding and protecting our ego. We have these fears in order to avoid embarrassments. We have these fears in order to keep our ego pleased. When you want to start living in freedom, you have to be able to let go of your fear. The reality is that one of two things is going to win. Either your fear wins or your freedom wins. But you cannot live in freedom if you are constantly living in fear. A lot of us claim to be afraid of things. Like I said earlier, the fear of public speaking. You're not actually afraid of public speaking because when you go up there and you go on a stage, you're not going to die. It's not a matter of life and death. You're actually embarrassed that you might stutter, and it's your ego convincing you that you're afraid, which then stops you from actually pursuing the thing that maybe you had to do. Maybe there's a message that you hold on to that people need to listen to, that people need to know, need to hear. But your fear of public speaking is debilitating you, and it's robbing you of that success that could potentially come from your speech or from anything, because your ego is too afraid to go beyond its comfort zone. If you want to start living in freedom, you want to start living in success, you have to get rid of all of that fear. We have to understand that it's not all about us. We have to let go of all of these fears that are driven by our egos. All these fears that are driven when we are at the center. Our fears are driven by our ego, which is driven by our pride, which manifests through anxiety and through worries. If you look at the word pride, you'll notice that the letter I is at the center. That's exactly what pride is. When you are at the center, you experience pride. If you look at the word anxiety, you'll notice that I is also at the center. And I'm not talking medical, but many of the anxiety that you have is a result of you being at the center, is a result of your ego being at the center. We have to be able to let go of that pride so that we can let go of that anxiety, which our anxiety manifests through worries. If I follow the trail of your worries, it will lead me to your greatest fear. I'm worried that I won't be successful. Well, why are you worried about that? Because I'm worried what my parents will say. Why are you worried about that? Because I'm worried that they might think I'm a failure. Why are you worried about that? Because I don't want to be a failure. So if I follow these trails of all of these worries, it will lead me to your greatest fear, which your greatest fear is most likely centered on your ego. I challenge you today, I challenge you this week to stop living a fear-centered life, which is actually an ego-centric life, and start living a freedom life, where you're able to experience the freedom, the joy, the peace, and the happiness of life, because you're no longer living in fear. You're no longer putting yourself at the center. You're no longer experiencing pride and anxiety, because you have absolute freedom. When we live in fear, we live in shackles and we're enslaved to our pride and to our ego. When we live in freedom, we let go of our pride. We let go of our ego. And we don't worry and we don't care about what others will think. Let me tell you something. The moment that you decide and the moment that you actually start pursuing your dreams, people will talk. I can guarantee it because I'm living it right now. Let them talk. Let them say whatever they want to say. Don't allow their opinions to influence the way that you live your life. So get rid of the fear. Understand that fear is a good thing. Fear keeps you alive. But when you put your ego in the center of fear, it does the exact opposite. It destroys your dreams, it crumbles your potential, and it limits you as a human being. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Abraham, and like always, it is a pleasure. Until next time, take care.